Welcome, everybody, to episode 19 of the Inside Real Estate Podcast. And today we have on a very awesome guest, Silvana Arraya. Woo! And so we've met recently.
Yes.
And it was kind of funny how we met. We were just at a networking happy hour.
Correct.
And you were wearing a very cool jacket you could not miss.
Bright.
Bright. It was green, the color of making money.
Yes.
And you were telling me about a very cool project that you were working on.
Yeah, so I saw you, and I was like, he looks Latino. I was like, and he's a videographer, so I was like, let me go ask him if he is Latino. So I did, and you said yes. So I was like, perfect. We are starting this organization, and you came into mind, and it aligned.
Yeah, it was. You're like, I just happen to be Latino. I was like, this is great. All right, so for anybody, before we go any further, or anybody who doesn't know you, give us a little background on yourself. Tell us a little about who you are, what you do.
Sure. So my name is Silvana Arraya, and I was born in La Paz. I'm sorry. No, I was born in Santa Cruz.
Holy, and we're off.
Okay, so my family raised me in La Paz, but I was actually born in Santa Cruz de la Sierra in Bolivia. But like I said, I was there for a couple months, and then I was raised in La Paz, Bolivia, where all my family was born.
Very cool. And what do you do?
And currently, I am a mortgage loan officer, and I am incoming vice president of an organization that helps the Latino community.
Okay. And what organization is that?
It's called National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals.
That is a mouthful.
Yes.
You know, for the longest time, I didn't know that P existed, and I'm just like, it sounded like you guys were saying NAHREP, and then I was like, oh, now that makes sense.
Yes, NAHREP. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So what's NAHREP all about?
So it's a way for not just Latinos, but like anyone who is passionate of helping people to unify and have like collective effort to sustain homeownership in the area that you live in. So NAHREP focuses in Philadelphia and the 2-hour radius. And it's so important in this time because in the market, it's getting harder to buy a house. So for the Latino community, we have low to moderate income. And if we unify with different Latino professionals, we can unite to make that dream possible. For instance, let's say I connect with a Latino videographer like you, or a Latino inspector or appraiser and realtor. We can all make it easier for the buyer who only speaks Spanish to sustain homeownership and, buy their dream home.
So is that the biggest need for what NAHREP is doing, is the communities that don't really speak English?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're with NAHREP in Philadelphia. But they're a national organization.
Yes.
Right? How long have they been around?
I think I would say 2006, or started 2000s.
So a while.
Yes.
Yeah. So do you know what chapter you guys are?
I don't, but we're the first chapter in Philadelphia. So there
awesome.
is no chapter. There is one close to us in New Jersey, and we have over 40,000 members.
Already?
For the whole NAHREP. Yes.
That's pretty good.
But the goal is to get members for this incoming chapter. So we're looking for any Latinos who want to be part of, the help. So we're signing people up now.
That's awesome. Are you getting a good, are people accepting it well and jumping on the train?
Yes, the word of mouth is there. Everyone's speaking about NAHREP. We have about 20 members now. Hopefully we'll have 50 by the end of the year, and it'll continue to grow.
Okay. Now, how are you guys? So you're not necessarily all Latinos that are in there?
No. So it's not required to speak Spanish or be Latino to be part of this organization. We're looking for passionate people who want to make a change.
Okay.
And we want to start locally so then we can have an impact nationally.
That's awesome. Okay, so people that are coming in, so what is like the strategy among the NAHREP members? Like, is it just come in and like, how are you tackling, helping the Latino community?
So I can give you an example. I attended an event in New York for NAHREP, and this was like the New York chapter that hosted their event. So since I'm a NAHREP member, I can attend other chapter events. So I went, and it's almost like a big, fun networking event, and you meet different people. For instance, I met another lender, and you would think, okay, that's competition, but it's not.
Yes.
It's really not, because everyone offers different things. So me and this other lender, had a good relationship. So we send each other different cases. For instance, if I am seeing that I'm struggling with a client, I can contact them and say, hey, I have this scenario. How can you help? So then now I'm getting help from other Latino professionals to help another Latino home buyer. So what I'm trying to say is it's almost like cases, and we're helping each other to not, like, if I don't know an answer, I don't just let my client go and say, sorry, I can't help you. I will go ahead and make the effort to reach out to other people who can help.
Awesome.
So NAHREP allows me to have that network of people.
It does seem like from what I've witnessed so far, it seems like you guys work together pretty well. It's more everybody pulling the boats in the same direction. So that's huge. So how is the mortgage industry these days?
The mortgage industry has been, pretty tough the last 2 years. Looking at 10-year treasury is like a stab to the heart every morning. But it's still, people are still buying and people are still renting. It's just the inventory is low.
Yep.
Now we do have hope because the feds did announce that they were cutting the rates, 4 to 5 times this year. And they have already. We've seen a little drop last week, but then they went right back up. So at this moment, I'm only hopeful, and then using the sources that we have now to make home buying possible. For instance, there's a lot of first-time home buyer products out there that people should research to take advantage of those products in this type of market.
Give me an example. Like, what's a good, off the top of your head, what's a really good program out there right now?
I can't go into specific ones, but I would, search 3 different people that offer mortgages and see, okay, with my income and my history financially, what can I qualify as for grants? There's local to you, there's, nonprofit organizations that offer grants where you can use that to either subtract from your closing costs or even buy down the rate.
So there is help out there right now.
Yes. Yeah, there's help. You just have to do the research and put in the work.
Okay. Without giving details or specifics or anything, what's a crazy mortgage story you have for dealing with a client?
Crazy mortgage story. Oy, there's so many of them. But
what's one you were ready to pull your hair out, but you got it over the finish line?
Let me think real quick.
You do deal with realtors. We know how they are.
I guess what it makes it really complicated is during the application process, it's so important to put the correct information because let's say something doesn't fit what was written on the application, it could cause like hardships. For instance, let's say you owned a property in Puerto Rico as an investment property and they're looking to buy a home and our DTI, which is debt to income ratio, is already tight without the home that was, wasn't mentioned. So let's say once we get into underwriting, they go ahead and ask, okay, this address came up. Now we have to add the debt, which is taxes, if there's like homeowner's insurance, if there's a mortgage, we would have to add those where it could possibly, kill the deal. Yeah. There's ways of saving the deal. For instance, let's say the person who owns that house and the mortgage is not making those mortgage payments and they have another person making those payments for 12 months consecutive. We could waive that liability. So it's all depending for certain guidelines and different products because they all have different rules per product.
A lot of problem solving, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Daily.
No, I bet. So if you had to pull out your crystal ball right now, do you think we get below? Do you think we get into the fives before the end of the year for interest rates?
Yes. I think maybe 5.875, 5.625.
And what do you think that's going to do to the market?
It's going to get, all the people who are ready to pop out babies or, or have, divorces and they're still living together just because of this market. It's going to allow, that confidence to, finally leave that 2% interest rate to at least a 5 because, like I said, people need extra rooms or, people don't want to live together anymore. Things change.
Yep. Yeah, I think you're right. I think we're even with the slight drops, in recent weeks. I think we're getting slammed. So I definitely think that it could get wild again. So like back to NAHREP, so if I'm looking to purchase or sell a home, are you guys positioning yourselves in a way that people will know about you and seek out NAHREP members? Or is it something where you guys as NAHREP members are like, okay, this is our mission, we want to do good things, and now let's go out and find the people?
I would say more of the second one, whereas we're hosting events where we have all different types of professionals in the real estate industry coming together, exchanging business cards. So then when we do have a, potential buyer with a question, we know who has the answer or which one aligns best for that person who needs to buy a house.
So more building the network on your guys' end.
Correct.
And then it's just
referring.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So what's the variety like of members? Like, are they from a million different countries? Are they all from all over the place? Like, what's the
Yes.
the organization look like?
We have a little bit of everything. So the current chapter, the incoming chapter that's coming for Philadelphia, we have Peru, we have Bolivia, we have Colombia, we have Honduras, and I'm trying to think. Oh, and we have Venezuela.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's you do see the Latino community likes to support each other a lot. So I think it's definitely, you have a good thing going on. I got to hang out with a bunch of you guys for the video. We can probably put a link into the description of the video.
Please do.
To that video on there. So let's talk a little bit about the video shoot. So the original plan? So we talked. We had a little Zoom call. We had generally an idea of like what we wanted to do. And it was still, video shoots, it's like you have a plan. Do they stick? So I mean, overall it went pretty well. I think it was just kind of a crazy day getting everybody together. Wrangling that many people for one video is always fun. Talk about like the process of doing the video. Like, what was that like? What maybe you thought it was going to be like versus what it ended up being?
Well, first, I want to thank you for believing in NAHREP, whereas like just started. So you were actually one of the first people that believed in us. So I appreciate that. But you definitely executed exactly what was going through our mind. We were thinking Philadelphia, and throughout the process, I've learned so much about Philadelphia that we had like the first bank, the first alley. We had so many first things happen in Philadelphia. And making the video, we wanted to just have a glimpse of all those first things, which you'll get to see if you click on it and check it
absolutely.
out.
Definitely check it out.
You just, whatever was going through our mind, you put it in a video, and your skills of like the drone were just amazing. Even the what is the funny ones when you like mess up?
The bloopers?
The bloopers. They were good. The energy was great. Even though it was like hot and the sun was hitting us, like it was just a great experience. I didn't feel like I was in front of the camera. You got really awesome shots where we weren't even like looking at the camera, so you just caught everything naturally. It was fun.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun working with you all. I think it was, you guys were very. Sometimes we deal with people that are just scared, of the camera, and you guys just kind of jumped in like, let's do this. We started. Where do we start? We started at the art museum, right? And took a couple shots by the Rocky statue, which is always fun. And then we actually shot the ending scene first, which was at the top of the art museum steps overlooking the parkway. And it was kind of funny when we were trying to get everybody together because, if it's me and I see people doing something, I'm going to be like, all right, wait, no. All the tourists were like, had to get this shot in this one spot. And I'm like, why are they all going to this one spot? And then I look down. I never saw it before. I don't know if you noticed, but they have Rocky's feet. There's a little, a little placard. I didn't know that was there. And I looked down and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. They all wanted to stand in the spot where Rocky got to the top. But man, they were relentless. They did not care we were filming up there.
No, it was so cool. The Bolivian selection was even there because we were in the middle of the soccer. So
okay.
The Bolivian soccer players were actually there. So it was even cool to have them there during that experience.
Yeah. We had you guys climbing on things. We were in Independence Mall. It was kind of, we went, where else?
Reading Terminal
Market. That place is a zoo.
So yummy. They have so many great options.
Yes. I'm glad I don't live close to it because I'd probably be fat. And the first alley and the first bank and all that, I didn't even know about those places. I'm sure I passed them a million times, but never.
No. So Pacho Jose Correa, who's the incoming president.
Shout out Pacho.
Yes, Pacho has educated me so much in Philadelphia just making the video.
Yeah. And Jonathan, when we put him up on that thing, it was so funny because he fit right in
it was perfect.
along the thing. Yeah, it was cool. But yeah, and then we went to Betsy Roth's house, which I thought they were going to kick us out for a second, but that didn't turn out that way.
Yeah, so they ended up letting us do video. It was amazing.
Yeah. So so now that you've launched and the video's out, again, check out the video. But so now what's the next steps? What are things that you're doing along the way?
So mark your calendars. October 22nd is our next virtual event. It's done through Zoom. We had our first one already, and the first one was just giving one education on what NAHREP is so they know why to join and what benefits and value it brings to them. The second virtual event is, again, October 22nd in the morning. We'll send the link later in the next couple weeks, but it will be based on the NAR settlement and how it's progressing or how it's going, because we'll be about 2 months in when this virtual event, so we'll get see what people's experiences are and recommendations. We're looking to get an attorney to be involved, and we're going to get a chairman for the Tri-County, and then one of our board members, Carlos Giraldo. He has his own brokerage in Philadelphia, so he'll be a speaker as well. So super excited about that. So hopefully we'll get, new viewers and potential new members.
So you're saying mark your calendars. Who can attend this?
I would recommend anyone who is passionate about just wanting to help the community, and mostly real estate professionals. So if you are somehow in the process of home ownership for a client, as either being a title agent, inspector, appraiser, lender, realtor, even if you are part of the videographer for the open houses, or let's say construction companies, this is the best place to attend. You get to meet other people in the industry, and you create, relationships. Okay.
So, and this is, do they have to pay or register to join these things? How do they get? How would they say hey, I'd love to attend that call? How do they do that?
So it's a one-time fee for a year. So it's an annual membership. It's $49.99. for
Okay.
the basic one. And then there is a platinum one. If you attend conferences, this platinum membership can get you, extra, for instance, like I work when I go to these conferences, so I need to bring my laptop and sit down and get coffee somewhere. So we'll have like a VIP area. And it's nice because while I'm working, I'll sit next to someone that's in the VIP area. And then, I've created relationships in those rooms before where, we're referring each other business or just being there for each other's help too. For instance, like I met this one guy at the VIP room and he attends our virtual events. So he's from North Carolina and, just networking, making it happen.
Cool. Now, is it one of those things where it's like, okay, we're in Westchester currently. This is where our studio is. So let's say there was some agents who see this, and let's say they're all in Westchester. Is it something where you're like, oh, we only will allow X amount of people from a certain area, or is it just anybody who wants to get in can get in?
So I love that question because when the spark of NAHREP came up, it was Philadelphia. It was concentrated in Philadelphia. So I didn't want it to just be concentrated in Philadelphia, even though we do have a large community, like Latino community there. But we also do in Westchester, Kennett Square, Downingtown, Coatesville. So I wanted to find a way where we can incorporate all the local counties close to Philadelphia. So we like to include people who are 2-hour radius from Philadelphia. So we have, even one of our board members is Jonathan, and he's from Delaware. So he's a big part of our chapter now, incoming chapter.
Okay, cool. And then are there any in-person meetups or fun events that you guys are doing? Or
Yes. So NAHREP takes a lot of work to begin, as anything else, and we have certain objectives that we have to complete before having the chapter established. So we need at least 50 members.
how many are we at right now?
I think, like I said, a little bit over 20 was last time we checked, which was at the end of last month. So
Those rookie numbers, we got to bump those up.
yes, we got to bump them up. And then where was I at? I forgot.
We need at least 50 members.
We need at least 50 members. We need sponsorship amount. We have a certain amount, a sponsorship amount that we're supposed to hit. We're very close to that. So we're looking for anyone that wants to partner up. I like to steer away from a sponsor because we're really partner up because we would like it to be like a lifetime thing. So once we have the certain amount and national NAHREP checks us out and they're like, okay, they're doing a great job having viewers and having people want to be part of this, then they will allow in-person events. And that is something I'm so excited for. I've attended different conferences. My favorite one of my favorite ones, because it was New York, and the other one was Miami. And just being in Miami and networking with other Latinos is so much fun. Everyone greets each other with hugs and kisses. We're drinking café con leche. We're talking about business. We're open arms. NAHREP is like familia. So, everyone wants to help you somehow. And when you exchange that numbers, there's a very high chance that, you're going to be connecting with them in the future.
Okay. That's awesome. So let's shift gears a little bit. And so you're pretty active on social media, right?
Yes.
Yes. Always seeing stuff from you out there. How does that help your business?
I feel like if you're in front of someone, they kind of know who you are. It's not just social media. I believe it's networking as well.
Sure.
Just being readily available. People don't know who you are. Sometimes I'll meet someone 5 or 6 times and tell them what I do, and they still won't know what I do.
Yeah.
So I try to be in front of people's faces all the time, just knowing how I can help, So at this moment, I try to post as much educational information on social media so I can help other people like myself at one time where I had no idea what a mortgage payment looked like. I didn't know taxes and homeowners insurance were part of that mortgage payment. I didn't know that you had to have a whole amount of money set aside for closing costs and down payment.
There's more to it than just here's the money, right?
Yeah, there's more to it. And people don't do this every day. They only do it a couple times out of their lifetime. But it is so important to know and be educated so you're not making the best decisions. You want to make sure, you're not overpaying for something that you could pay less for. So my goal is to be on social media, not really for business per se, but just kind of be out there for educational purposes so I can help people like myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's great. I mean, I think the networking in real estate particular, in a lot of things, but I think definitely in real estate in particular, I don't think there's really a substitute for the getting out there, shaking hands and kissing babies, that networking. But I think, you're not going to be, let's say, we met, we're not on the phone or, talking directly all the time. But I think that social media is a nice way to segue. It's like, okay, we meet, we exchange, now we're connected on social media. And now, even though we're not talking every day, we're still kind of in front of each other's faces on a regular basis. So I think that definitely helps. How important is video to your social media? And if you're not super huge on video, is it something that, you want to move more towards over time?
I think video is growing so fast. I think it's so important just because, let's say I'm going to hire someone to fix something in the house, let's say, and I'm looking at different websites for this person who I'm going to hire. Most likely, if they have a video on their website, it's more chances that I'm going to go with them just because I get an idea of who that person is.
100%.
And one thing that I've learned, in the past year or so from just networking, it's not, here's my business card and that's it. It's building relationships. Like, why should I give you my business? What value do you bring? And most of the time it is emotionally. So, yeah, video kind of touches your heart sometimes. So
I agree. And, it doesn't hurt to share a cocktail when you meet somebody, but okay. So yeah, I think that's great. I always tell people, you can read a paragraph, but if you can see their face, hear their voice, and, kind of just find something, like, I think one of the things you do well is you show some personality on your page too. Like, yeah, you do provide the educational content, all that, but you do need to show people who you are. And I think when they see that, that's, if they had the choice between Silvana and somebody else, let's say on paper, you guys, same stats, same everything, you both can do the job, but it can be that emotional thing that puts you over the top over somebody else. So if they don't have a way to kind of build that connection or, like you said, see and hear and figure out who you are, they don't get that opportunity to choose you over somebody else. And then they're just, it's a crapshoot. So I think it is a big help with respect to that. Now, you talked about education, right? What is something big, like, of all the things that you could educate somebody on, what is an area that you think a lot of people need or maybe aren't getting enough of that you think is an area that people doing what you do can grow in getting better at?
If I could educate everyone on one thing, I believe it would be this document. It's called a loan estimate, and it's a document for a consumer when they are applying for a mortgage. This document will break down in detail exactly what your closing costs are. And I believe by understanding each section, it allows you to be educated, where your money's going. So if you're educated on where your money's going, then you'll know if something's, like you're overpaying for something. Okay. So I would go on Google and look up what a loan estimate looks like and see how it's broken down. Or even call me, I can explain it to you. But I think it's so important because I have some, wives or husbands who've, never bought a house before, and then sometimes they just kind of go along with the process of the others, taking care of it. But I think both should definitely, understand because, if you're educated, you can make the best financial decisions for yourself.
Right. No, 100%. Knowing is half the battle. Okay. So let's say I'm a would-be buyer. I know that home ownership is something that I want to achieve, but maybe through what I read or hear and see that maybe I think it's completely out of reach. I think a lot of people fall into that where they don't pursue it or don't take next steps because they just think that it's not doable for them. How often do you think people maybe have that mindset where maybe they're closer than they think? And then even if maybe they're a year or two out, is it ever too early to reach out to someone like yourself and see where they stand?
I love that question too. So it's important to do it as soon as possible, even if you don't have anything at all, because at least you know what the steps are. During a home purchase, if you make one simple, small mistake, it could kill the whole deal. So getting a plan is the best thing because now you know what steps to take. Like, no, I cannot buy a $600 payment car right now because I need my debt to income ratio to be here. So I think that is very important. And also it sets, objectives for yourself. Like I have to have a 2-year history here. I have to have this amount in the bank, let's say 5% of the purchase price. And I need to have a credit to be here. And as I mentioned previously, there's so many different types of products out there. Do your research because let's say you check all the boxes, but maybe your credit's not as good. You can maybe find a lender who can fit that, scenario.
Sure.
So if you do your education, it might not fit for one lender, but it could fit for another, not knowing that you could be able to buy a home owner like right away.
100%. I think that's great. The funny thing is that car example always comes up. I used to have my real estate license, and when I did it, one of my first buyers, they did the damn car thing, right? I'm like, I can't believe you did that. I was like, son of but yeah, so yeah, don't buy cars when you're trying to buy a house.
And don't buy furniture on your credit card before
noted.
Closing.
And I think also, and if I was understanding what you were saying, I think what you're saying is like, there's a lot of lenders out there, right? So let's say you talk to lender A, they find, they give you an idea where you're at, but maybe they can't get it done, but maybe another lender could get it done. Because I know I had a stable of lenders that I worked with, and there was one guy that always could get, like, if it was possible, he could get it done. I had the in-house lender for the brokerage I was with at the time. He was, stuck on only wanted to deal with jumbos or close to jumbos and didn't want to touch these people. And I was like, all right, but everything else seems like it's pretty close. And this guy, and then we got her into a place, and I kept in touch with her over the years, and she's doing great. So I think that is important to know that just talking to one lender, they're going to read the same stuff, but some loan companies are not going to, don't want to. In theory, maybe they don't want to handle certain things. Mm-hmm. So, doing your research and getting educated can potentially help you get over the finish line.
No, for sure. And a key, like a gem for home buyers is that you can shop. As a consumer, you do have the rights to shop. So it doesn't have to be, your realtor's lender. Right. You can shop and for instance, like let's say you get your credit pulled, okay? If you look on FICO, myfico.com, you have a 45-day window to shop, just like a car. So Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax are gonna be like, okay, they're shopping for a mortgage right now, so they're not gonna ding your credit every time you get it checked in that 45-day window. Okay. So what I would recommend is, talk to 3 different lenders during that 45 window, have them access your, hard pull credit and see which one is the best fit for you.
Is there a way that a buyer can get an idea where they stand without a hard pull?
Yes, there's some lenders that do soft pulls. And for instance, like I will have A lot of my first-time home buyers, I don't pull their credit right away because I don't know what it is. And let's say it's like 580, I would hate to pull it and then it dropped to like 540 or 520.
Right.
And then it makes it just as harder to, get back.
Okay, so I want to find out, let's say my goal is in the next 2 years to buy a house, and I want to find out where I stand. And I talk to a lender, but I don't want the hard pull. And I find somebody who can do it with the soft pull. Is there something, am I not getting enough information if I don't do the hard pull, or is it pretty close?
So my recommendation to my clients is, okay, let's take a quick peek at Experian app. So if you have a smartphone, get the Experian app on there and you'll get an idea of what your credit score is. For creditkarma.com, they will also give you an estimate of what your credit score is. Now, what I do is I subtract about 30 to 40 points from whatever is advertised on a bank statement, Credit Karma, or Experian.
Okay.
Because usually for mortgage rates, they're a little tougher than, getting a credit card at Macy's. So
Sure.
that's what I would do first. So for me to not do that hard pull, I'd say, hey, Brian, what's your credit score on Credit Karma? And you say, okay, it's 780. So I'd be like, okay, it's about 740. So what I use is I have a pricing tool. Most lenders will have a pricing tool, and then you'll put what the estimated credit score is, and I can give you quotes based on what the rates are with that credit score.
Okay.
And then once, Credit Karma shows where you want it to be and your lender, then you can give them permission to access and pull credit. But with the soft and hard pull, some lenders are able to do it, some aren't. But to be able to get a mortgage, it's an application to go through. It must be a hard pull.
Okay. Best advice you could give to somebody that is looking to purchase a home in 2024?
2024.
Into 2025, I guess, but just somebody like based on like the way things are now, what's the best advice you give to somebody?
Don't be so obsessed with the rate because rates are not permanent. You can always refinance out of them. The goal is to get the house you want, and because right now inventory is so low, so just getting an offer accepted is a win. I would recommend evaluating what your short-term goals are and long-term goals are, because based on those goals, you can adjust your first purchase and then see what your refinance would be. The reason why I say don't obsess over a rate, because you might only have that mortgage payment for let's say the next 12 months or so.
Okay. So how much, in your professional opinion, does the rate need to go down before somebody should consider refinancing? They just bought a house and let's say they're close to 7. Like, how much should it drop before they consider refinancing?
So when I first started working as a mortgage loan officer about 8 years ago, I always heard that it has to be a full percentage point, and that makes sense. But you are paying for closing costs, to do that. And my advice to when to lower a rate to refinance is when the current market rate has a lender credit that covers all or substantially most of the closing costs to do the refinance. For example, let's say you locked in today at a 7.5 interest rate, and let's say in January you want to refinance into, let's say rates are now at 6%. Okay. So I would look at the 6.5, and let's say that one has a large lender credit of, let's say, $4,000. So I would use that $4,000 to cover the closing cost, whatever they may be, or subtract from the closing costs. So then you're benefiting of the lower rate and then also not having to pay the full amount of closing costs to get to that lower rate. And I would recommend to make that same mortgage payment that you were making on the higher interest rate of 7.5 on the new lower rate, so then you can not only lower your monthly payment but shave years off of your mortgage.
Because you're already used to paying it.
Correct.
Right. No, that's smart. So you're saying that credit or incentive from so it's not just the rate. It's like even if it went down hypothetically a half a point, but they were covering your closing costs, that makes sense because it's not hurting you to do it. But if you had to go down a full point, but you had to pay the closing costs, then maybe it's something that's not as nice to look at, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah,
definitely see what your closing costs are and what your break even point is. But I would, recommend, using, because rates either come with a credit or come with a cost or none at all. So why not, go with a higher credit to cover your costs if possible.
Awesome. No, that's I think that's good advice. All right. So we're gonna start wrapping up. So let's go back to NAHREP for 1 second. And what would you say? Like, what's your closing thoughts on NAHREP and what's going on, and maybe telling people how to get involved?
So NAHREP, to me means so much, and I'm so passionate about it because it's basically volunteer work. Is just seeing the Spanish community. We don't have documents that are translated in Spanish all the time, and sometimes we need hand holding. And I believe that NAHREP is the backbone of the Spanish community because we're there as resources and education. And I think with these things, we can, complete home ownership, we can succeed and thrive. So NAHREP makes it possible to be that resource. So if anyone, has questions about mortgages, I would be, your go-to. And then if I can't help, I'm going to get someone else in NAHREP that is able to assist and speak Spanish.
Okay.
So I think that is very, that's like I want to help the community. I want to help people like myself because I believe that if I'm educating 20 and 30-year-olds, they're going to be teaching their kids. And then we're going to fill in that gap of not understanding and, helping each other with applications, how to fill it out. Because it's not easy sometimes for, some of the people in my culture. So I want to be that helping hand and just, be available. And not only am I helping people, get into a house, but I'm also, getting new clients in the meantime. And then I'm helping people like myself because I came from South America and I know firsthand what it's like to not even speak English, and, I was like, I think in third grade, not even being able to speak English.
You speak it pretty good now.
I know. I speak it so good now. But there was a point where I had no idea what I was saying. I couldn't tell, I had no idea what people were saying to me.
Sure.
I was in ESL, but I can just see, I can't even imagine being a parent with not knowing English and having to do, making like responsible financial decisions. So again, NAHREP helps with financial responsibilities, the homeownership process, and also even investing.
Okay. So where would you direct people that want more information?
I would recommend them to either contact me if they want to, chat, or go to nahrep.com, and I think it's /join, and make sure you choose a chapter that's closest to you. And if you're in the Philadelphia area, the 2-hour radius, I would greatly appreciate it if you become a member. We can connect and see how we can bring value to each other.
Cool. I like it. All right. And then something we ask all of our guests for the final thing. Send us off with a positive message to the world.
Be kind and make a difference. Make it a priority to make a difference, even if it's smiling at someone or telling someone they have a great day or just reaching out to a friend and, make them, make people smile. It's tough out there.
I love it. Silvana, thank you.
Oh, thank you, Brian.
You got it. That's a wrap.
Yeah.